Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It's Thursday. It is go time. The game is here. I just want to give a quick shout out as we started to all of our new members on BuckeyeScoop.com, the #1 Ohio State premium message board experience. We've got a huge influx this week, so thank you. If you guys want the best companion there is for Ohio State football, college football, NFL football, gambling, BuckeyeScoop.com is your home. Our board has been absolutely on fire. So I normally do this promo at the end of the show. I want to do at the beginning to give a shout out to all of our new members. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, our message board is absolutely on fire right now, and it's been an absolute blast. So thank you, all of you new members. But it was go time. 2 more sleeps. It is going to be time for the Bucks to get cranked up to go into South Bend. First time since '96. We're going to be out there. And I think these guys are ready to crank. But with that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could leave us a like on the way out the door, that would be fantastic. Also, click that subscribe button. Send this to your friends. Send it to your Notre Dame buddies. Send it to anybody who loves Ohio State football and wants to learn a little bit more about Ohio State football. We appreciate it. All of our people that are filtering in on our live stream, we appreciate you guys as well. Our regulars, thank you guys. A lot of fantastic people. And shout out where you guys are watching from. And I want to hear, what are you guys doing for the game? Is you guys throwing a party? You guys going out? I love seeing what you guys are doing. Are you going to the game? I'd love to see what's going on. And who is going to be your MVP? Make your predictions right here in the comments down below. I read all your comments. So I love seeing all the stuff that you guys bring to the table. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend, Nevada Buck. We decided to make a list of the 5 reasons why Ohio State is going to whoop Notre Dame on Saturday night. Nevada, I'll let you start it off. What is your first reason as to why Ohio State will whip Notre Dame on Saturday?
Well, I'm going to go with the biggest reason that I'm always looking for advantages or disadvantages when you have these matchups. And I just think Ohio State's got a huge team speed advantage on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go team speed is going to be reason number 5, because when you've got speed, it forces the defense to play a shell. It forces the defense really can't challenge you. They can't really stand up to the speed of Ohio State, not at the wide receiver position, certainly not the running back position. And Ohio State's going to do a really good job of kind of isolating Trey, isolating Marvin, kind of run some of that RPO action on those swing passes. They're going to do a good job of getting some guys in space and seeing if they can challenge Notre Dame from a speeds perspective. And defensively, you've got the 3 corners that can match up with some big Notre Dame wide receiver, but not exactly burners. A running back, again, a versatile, tough, very productive college running back in Notre Dame, but again, not a speed merchant. A quarterback that's not a super scrambler. We're not talking about Fran Tarkenton back there. And I just think Ohio State's got a speed advantage at all the key spots, really across the board. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be a big indicator of who's going to win the game. And that's why I think Ohio State's going to win the game on Saturday night. I've got them winning more comfortably than the odds makers at 3. I think at 3, it's kind of a steal. I think it's easy money. And that's number 5 reason from Nevada Buck, team speed.
I think for me, I'm going to go my first reason. So we kind of split this off. Nevada's got 3. I've got 2. I took the easy route. I think Steele Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg. I think they control the running game. But I think they're going to be a huge factor in the pass rush. I think that, again, I've been in meetings breaking down defenses. Who do we need to get after? Who do we need to attack? The interior 3 at Notre Dame is the weakness of their offense by far. I don't think it's an accident that we've been rehearsing a lot of these sim pressures where Steele and Tommy Eichenberg both walk up over the center. They make them dictate where they're going to go in pass protection. And then they basically, execute a counter move to whatever way the center goes. So, I mean, it's really hard because, like I said, Tommy and Steele are playing as good as any tandem linebackers in the country right now. Steele, per Pro Football Focus, is rated the #1 cover linebacker in the entire country. And Tommy is playing like an All-American. So I'm telling you, I said it before, I'll say it again. The chemistry that those 2 have is very special. It's like Schlegel and AJ Hawk. It's like 2 guys that just absolutely, honestly, it's like Marcus Freeman and James Laurinaitis. I mean, 2 guys that really knew each other inside out, and they played like it. They played fantastic football together. So I think that the interior pass rush, because again, you got those 2 guys walking up in the A gap over the center, and then the guards also have to worry about Mike Hall and Tyleek. So that is an absolute load in the middle of the deal. I think that Joe Alt, the left tackle, is the best player on their entire team. So, he's going to get his. He's going to do a good job on whoever's pass rushing against him. But that being said, you always go after the weak underbelly of the unit, and I think that interior pass rush between Mike Hall, Tyleek, Steele, and Tommy is going to be fantastic. And again, I know everyone's obsessed with sacks, but you're here watching this show because you want to become a better football fan and understand that it's about affecting the quarterback. It's not just about sacking the quarterback. Sacking the quarterback is fantastic. It's about affecting his throws, affecting his confidence, affecting his ability to step up. Because when you have interior pressure, you can't step up. If you have edge pressure and they run around the tackles outside, the quarterback can still step up and make a throw. But when you have interior pressure, there's nowhere to go. You got to scramble out of there. Your mechanics are going to be all wonky. You're not going to get a clean throw off. So I think interior pressure is going to be reason at number 4 as to why Ohio State will dominate Notre Dame. What is your next selection, Nevada?
I'm going to go with history and belief. And, I know that people think some of that stuff is kind of hokey, but Notre Dame hasn't beaten Ohio State since 1936. Notre Dame hasn't won a lot of big games for a very long time. And I think the Ohio State's been in big games. They've won big games. They've certainly handled Notre Dame. They've gone through the whole process where we're going toe-to-toe with Georgia. I think that for Notre Dame, this is a huge game. I mean, they're talking about Notre Dame. This is like one of the biggest games in the history of Notre Dame in the past 40 years. I think the moment's going to be too big for guys like that. I think there's a seed of doubt in their mind as to whether or not they're good enough to play with Ohio State. And the bottom line is, I don't think they're as talented as Ohio State. And so I think when you combine a team that's less talented than Ohio State and that doesn't have that 100% conviction, that 100% belief that they're going to win the game, I think that stuff matters. I think that stuff matters in big games, and I think that's the difference in winning and losing a lot of times. Is some teams just go expecting to win, and they go, and other teams just going in and they're just not sure if they're going to be there or not. I think Notre Dame's not going to be sure they're going to be there on Saturday night. Hartman or no Hartman, I don't care if Hartman's played for 14 years at Wake Forest or wherever the heck it doesn't matter. I think belief and tradition and recent history, it's going to be a big thing for Ohio State, and I think that's one of my reason number 3 why Ohio State wins the game on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that there's something to that. I mean, we played them, obviously, 95, 96. Coop got the sweep. 95, the Eddie George long run in the shoe was huge. And 96, Orlando went out there and handled business. 05 was a weird one because, we hadn't seen those guys in 10 years, and Charlie Weiss was in vogue. Like, he was the smartest human being on earth. And they had Brady Quinn, who was a junior, and is he going to be a top 10 pick? And we went out there and worked them. I mean, we absolutely smoked them. They had to basically change the recruiting strategy, and they're already handcuffed by their academics. And, again, I think that's somewhat overblown because they got Devontae Neal into school there. And Devontae Neal, I saw his transcript, and believe me, they're not some high-profile academic institution. They still get in guys that really have no business being in college into the school. But that being said, we went out there. And I'll never forget, Charlie Weiss had those guys on like 7 p.m. curfew. And Tress, let us, we had late curfew for a little while, until we got closer to the game time. And we were wild men. And we went out there and we played like it. We played like the Raiders, and we were reckless, and we whooped them. Again, like, Anthony Gonzalez and I are both Catholics, and we both hated Notre Dame. So it was always hilarious. It's like some of the Hurricanes that played against them when they had the Catholic versus convent games they were Catholics. They're playing for the Miami Hurricanes, and they hated Notre Dame, and we hated Notre Dame, and we had the whole AJ Hawk and Brady Quinn, Laura Quinn jersey thing and all that, and I just we had that momentum. We'd been disrespected, and I think that again, every time you see these games, you look at 95, 96, 05, and 15. The common thread throughout all of that is Ohio State is just so much more athletic than Notre Dame. Outside of Will Fuller in 15, we just absolutely dominate these guys from a speed perspective. And dude, when Marvin's running 22 miles an hour, which is as fast as anybody at any level of football, and you got a Mecca, then you look at our corners, you got Denzel, Davison, those guys can fly, Proctor, Seal Chambers can fly. Sonny Styles is your Sam linebacker, probably the most athletic Sam linebacker in the country. I mean, there's a reason why guys like if you said, "Hey, Marcus Freeman, Ryan Day is going to go coach the Chicago Bears or the New England Patriots. Do you want to be the head coach at Ohio State?" He would be on the first thing smoking out of South Bend because he knows that he can't win big at Notre Dame. He knows that. Now, it's a great job. He's 37 years old. He's got one of the top 20 jobs in America, but he knows that you can't win big there. They haven't won big there in almost 30 years. And I just think that that tradition thing is a big deal. I'll go with my next reason. I'm going to click into the film room. And I'm going to circle, this is a little, something we don't see very much, but I'm going to circle our Sam linebacker. I'm going to circle Sonny Styles. I think number 6 is going to be a huge factor. Again, these guys, their tailback leads the nation rushing over 500 yards already on the season. I think Sonny, obviously the Styles thing with Lorenzo Styles Jr. transferring from Notre Dame played, really was the reason why Josh Proctor got benched last year because he had that long completion. And then I don't think he played the rest of the game after that. But he's over here. The two Styles boys are both on Ohio State this year. But I think Sonny, is going to be a force. I think he's kind of feeling his way out. He's an 18-year-old. People, obviously reclassified. He's basically the age of a true freshman, but, he's a physical dude. I mean, I remember he put his face right on a fullback from Wisconsin last year, like week 4 or 5 or whatever that was. And that was impressive. He played physical against Georgia. So this is going to be a physical game. I mean, these guys are going to try to run the ball on us. They're going to try to be like Indiana plus and shorten the game, pound the rock, keep Marvin and Emeka off the field. I mean, really, the best defense in the universe is Notre Dame's O-line and running back keeping those guys off the field. So I think Sonny's going to be critical. I think Tyleek in the middle affecting, breaking double teams, the block destruction that they love to talk about. That's the new in vogue term on defense. I just think those guys wrecking double teams is going to be everything. I think Mike Hall, I think that rotating the interior defensive tackles, Ty Hamilton and some of these guys, when these guys are getting double teamed, you got to sub them in and out, man, because that is a brutal spot on the field when you're playing 3 technique or nose guard and you get double teamed every single play. So I think that the depth at defensive tackle is going to come into play. I think JT and Jack got to keep being physical. JT and Jack played fantastic last week. Everyone in the nation thinks that they played great except for some of our crazy fans who hate them. But those guys are playing as good as any ends in the country right now. And last week was probably their best performance as a duo in their careers. So I love that trajectory from the defensive ends. But yeah, that's so I'm going to Sonny Styles, that Sam linebacker, that 4-3 look versus what they're doing. Real quick, I do want to shout out Chris Lane. Appreciate the super chat, my man. If you have a question, toss that in the chat. You get a free answer every time you do a super chat. Any of you guys that have questions for us, send in a super chat. It's an automatic answer. I saw another one. Lavelle, appreciate you, my man. I would love if Emeka ran a kickback. I can't remember the last time we ran a kickback. It feels like it's been forever. It almost feels like it's been outside of the deal. I saw Canton. Shout out Canton, Ohio. Appreciate you guys. Nevada, what is your next reason, which I believe we're up to reason number, what do we have to, are we up to number 1?
We're up to number 1. The number one reason. The number one reason is the $10 million man, Ryan Day. Ryan Day versus Marcus Freeman. I mean, look, Marcus is a great guy. Marcus was a great Buckeye. I love all my ex-Buckeyes and stuff, but he's not like a great college football head coach. And I think at the college football level, coaching matters. Coaching is almost determinative of success. And Ryan Day has just got so much more experience, so much more success. I think that is a huge mismatch between those two. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the number one determining factors. Ryan Day knows how to get these guys ready. He knows how to get his team, schemed up for a game like this. And I'm not sure that Marcus Freeman can. I'm not sure Marcus Freeman has shown that he can handle a game like that. I mean, I would say he has shown that he probably can't handle this stuff yet. Let's think about where he was. He was at Cincinnati, and then never been a head coach before, and then all of a sudden he just became the head coach at Notre Dame, and it was like, wow, that was a quick ascension to the throne. And I think in this situation, Ryan Day has got a lot more big game experience than Marcus Freeman does, a lot more big game success. And I think that's going to be the number one reason why Ohio State has a big game on Saturday night is Ryan, the $10 million man Day.
Yeah, and again, I think Marcus has been a victim of some very some very fantastic circumstances, to say the least. Daryl Hazel made him a position coach when he was like 25. Took him to Kent State. Daryl did great at Kent State. Goes to Purdue. He made him the DC at Purdue. They're probably the worst defense in the nation when Marcus was a DC. They got fired as a staff. Luke went to Cincinnati right as Marcus was fired, basically, and looking for work. And Luke made him the DC at Cincinnati. But again, if you're the DC and the head coach is a defensive guy, you're not really the DC. So I mean, Luke was still kind of calling it and doing the thing. So. And Marcus was there for a little bit, and they had that run. They got Sauce Gardner. They went to the playoffs. So he rode the rocket ship basically of Cincinnati football. Brian Kelly comes after him, offers him a couple million a year to be a DC at Notre Dame. Obviously, you got to take that. If you're at Cincinnati, you get offered Notre Dame, you got to go. And then BK takes off after 1 year. So Notre Dame was kind of up the creek, and you have the situation where a lot of the incumbent coaches hated Brian Kelly. So they didn't want to go with Brian Kelly to LSU, which is kind of unique because usually if you go from Notre Dame to a place like LSU, most of the incumbent staff is going to go with Brian Kelly to what is a better job than Notre Dame. But if you're as hated as Brian Kelly was, they don't want to go. So you have this option where you get this young, energetic kid who is never been a head coach before, and he's sitting there, and you're like, well, if we promote Marcus Freeman, then magically a lot of these guys will stay, and it won't be like a full fire hose to the entire staff. Honestly, it's a lot like Ryan Day. Like, I mean, they promoted Ryan Day. Nobody had ever heard of Ryan Day before Urban Meyer hired him, and then Urban retires. They're like, well, who are we going to hire? Well, let's promote Ryan Day. And then all of a sudden you get to keep Mickey Roddy, keep Mark D'Antoni, you keep the whole organization, and as opposed to, Urban, because I think Urban deep down, he knew if he retired, the biggest thing is he wanted to have a successor in place so that, 20 people or 50 people or whatever, don't all lose their jobs. Because usually if a coach quits or retires or gets fired, everybody gets fired. So Urban, he was able to put his head down on the pill a little bit easier, knowing that Ryan Day was going to be there and Mickey would keep his job and D'Antoni keep his job and whatever. But, these guys are both victims of circumstances. They've both done, what they could. Again, Marcus lost to Marshall at home last year. They didn't look great against Central Michigan. I've watched that tape. Again, I know that it's kind of like us not playing great against Youngstown State or Indiana, but they're going to be more jazzed up for us. Absolutely, I get that. But in the history of Notre Dame, at home versus teams, they played Georgia a few years ago, didn't win. They beat a bad Clemson team last year. But even if you go back to 2005, that USC game, they find ways to lose these games at home. So that gives me a lot of confidence. Ryan Day has coached in a multitude of larger games than Marcus has. I mean, going back to his first year, even if you go back to the Rose Bowl in 2018, but 2019, he's playing Clemson, plays them great, beats Michigan, 20 beats Clemson, national championship. So Ryan's coached in way bigger games than Marcus. So I think that counts. And we just have way better players than they do. So at the end of the day, like when you put your head on the pillow to sit back and be like, they don't have Marvin, they don't have Emeka, they don't have Julian Fleming out wide. I mean, we have a better tight end in Cade Stover. We have a better running back. Like, I'm not shaking their guy who's got 500 yards, or excuse me, he's got 500 yards leading the nation rushing over Trey Henderson. There's no way. I mean, Trey Henderson is a victim of game script and just not getting enough carries, but I'm not trading that guy for Trey. But I just think we have better players, and I think we have a better coaching staff. And frankly, I think the coach who's on the biggest heater right now is Jim Knowles. Like, Jim Knowles has been absolutely fantastic the first 3 games. And you can say whatever you want about the competition, but go around the country, and a lot of these teams are playing crap teams too. It's not like Georgia has only played Alabama and USC and whoever, Florida or Miami or whatever. It's like Georgia's playing crap teams too, and no one's playing better defense than Ohio State is right now. So that's a nice little bow on it. So in the comments, I want to hear, give me a reason why you think Ohio State is going to beat Notre Dame. Nevada, who are your MVPs? A couple days out. Has anything changed? Have you had any premonitions? Who are your MVPs when we get together on Saturday night and do our post-game show?
Well, my number one MVP always, I got to say, without thinking on all these lists, is Brian Kelly's Cajun accent when he was down there at LSU or something like that. That always goes number one for me because Brian Kelly's a true Cajun, a true son of the South, and so that'll be my number one MVP. But my number two, number or 1A and two behind that, um, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with oh man, so it's so tempting. I'm going to go with Trey Henderson on offense, and I'm going to go with Davison on defense. I know Davison can be handsy. I know he's one of my spotlight players, but I think Steele knows they're going to throw those passes. Steele's going to tip one up in the air, and Davison's going to catch it and house it because he's got that kind of electric return ability. He's that guy that can do that. And I just think I think we'll score a defensive touchdown. I think that'll be one of the things that kind of starts opening the game a little bit. And I just think Trey's going to feed. I think Trey's going to have a big game. I really like the game plan that Ohio State's kind of scheming up for him. I like the way that they've kind of built it up over the past 3 weeks, and I think it's a perfect antidote for what Notre Dame's going to be giving us. So Brian Kelly's Cajun accent, Davison, and Trey Henderson, my 3 MVPs on Saturday night.
I can't. Marvin, so for me, it's Marvin and Emeka. I just think that, obviously Marvin, this has got to be his breakout game. And I mean, he's got to go take it over the top. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be as bad as these other teams and just, forget about him. Because again, I've seen more blown coverages versus the best receiver in the country in the last 2 weeks than I think I could ever dream of. I don't think that Notre Dame will be that. I think Al Golden will tell, hey, don't let 18 get behind you. But man, that being said, I gotta go Emeka. I just feel like Emeka, again, if I'm calling the play, I'm giving him some handoffs, some jet sweeps, get him on the edge, get him some touches, get Notre Dame running all over the place. They run that 3 down front. They like to blitz from it. A lot of interior blitzes. But yeah, I like your pick of Davison though, because I can see us running that short side corner blitz to stop the run. That's something that is really popping up a lot in college football this year. And honestly, we are going to see it a lot just because we keep running our short side stretch play into the closed end of the field. So we're starting to see corner blitzes because that's the obvious dagger against that. But defensively, for me, it's got to be Steele Chambers. I think Steele Chambers is a guy that is really coming on. I think that, Tommy's shadow is immense because he's on every preseason All-American. He's a preseason Butkus, but Steele's a guy, that they're featuring as a blitzer when they do these little interior twists in the sim pressure game. And I think that it's kind of like it'll either be Steele or Tommy because whoever they decide to block, the other guy is going to be the guy who's like the ad guy, the guy that's going to go get the quarterback. And, it's kind of like a coin flip because if they want to block Tommy, I honestly would probably block Steele because I think Steele's quicker than Tommy, so he'd get home quicker. But I'm telling you, Steele is playing fantastic football. He got his hands on a ball, got a pick last week. Has been great in the perimeter run game. But I think those two backers have got to play their best game, shut that run game down, make the quarterback one dimensional, and affect the quarterback. Just pressure the quarterback from the interior. One of the things I used to love about Jim Haycock back in the olden days is he used to always have this like overhead projector, like where the defense sat, and it always had a picture of the quarterback that they're going to play, and it said "affect the quarterback," and that was like their whole mantra was just cage rush, get their hands in the air, deflect balls. Again, I just think that people that don't understand football really get obsessed with sacks, and again, I think sacks are fantastic. I think in the NFL, guys post these gaudy sack totals because, frankly, NFL quarterbacks hold on the ball forever. Offensive lines are thinner, and the pass rushers are better. So, I mean, you're going to have a lot more sacks in the NFL. Where in college, these teams get rid of the ball fast, especially when it's overwhelmed teams like Youngstown State or Indiana or Western Kentucky. They know that they can't run like a pro-style scheme versus Ohio State's pass rush, or the quarterback is going to literally die. He's going to get hit so many times that you're not going to be able to finish your schedule out. So these guys know, like when you're Youngstown State, your tackles can't block JT Tuimoloau. There's no chance. They can't block Jack Sawyer. There's no chance. So you better get rid of the ball fast. And I think that that's something that, people harp on these guys and they've been beating these guys to death. There aren't two humans on this earth that want to get sacks more than JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer because they both want to go to the NFL. And it's hard to say, well, I need to declare it. I had 0 sacks, so they're dying to get to the quarterback more than any human beings in the world. So be interesting to see what those guys do. Because I think the heavyweight match of the day is Joe Alt, their superstar left tackle, versus JT. And Jack will see him a little bit, but JT tends to be over the left tackle a little bit more. That's the one matchup that scouts are dying to see. I'm dying to see. I can't wait to rewatch it on film. But yeah, well, what are your final thoughts of that? We'll wrap this thing up. We'll go again tomorrow.
I just think with Hartman, Hartman is a very efficient quarterback, and all quarterbacks are less efficient when you move them off their mark, but he's especially less efficient when you move him off his mark. So they've got to affect that. They've got to affect that with that interior pressure, with those double A gap blitzes, with push from Tyreek and from Mike. And if they can move Hartman off of his mark, just make him uncomfortable, start getting him move around, his efficiency plunges downward. I think that's going to be opportunistic chances for some terrific Ohio State defensive backs. So I think that's going to be the story of the game on defense, is going to be move Hartman around, try to get him feeling that pressure, and the sacks will come. JT or Jack's going to get there at least once or twice this week. I can see a big strip sack. I just think they're poised. I feel this game. I get a feeling before some of these games, and sometimes it's a good feeling, sometimes it's a bad feeling. But I got a good feeling about Saturday night. I think this is a perfect matchup at the perfect time for Ohio State. I think it's going to be a big night.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think we're going to have a big celebration during our postgame show. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this show up. We appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in. Thank you to all of our members of BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys are not members of BuckeyeScoop.com, you guys need to join. It is a fantastic gift to give to somebody, but give it as a gift to yourself. Because I'm telling you, if you love Ohio State football, our board is always popping. Bill Green is doing his all-night chat. Right now, it is really fantastic. Our game thread is already popping. We've got a lot of great discussion as what people are looking for in this Notre Dame game. So join BuckeyeScoop.com. I think you guys will love it. So with that being said, please leave us a like on your way out the door. Click that subscribe button, and also tell your friends about the channel. If you guys enjoy it, we appreciate it. We loaded up the last 4 Notre Dame games, 95, 96, 2005, which was the 06 Fiesta Bowl, and 2015, which was the 2016 Fiesta Bowl. So if you guys are historians like I am and you like watching the old school games, check out our YouTube channel. Search Buckeye Scoop in YouTube, and you will find those 4 games. Again, I just love watching these old games, seeing Orlando Pace, Eddie George, Ted Ginn, Ezekiel Elliott explode and just dominate. So it's just fun watching some of those old clips. So if you guys want to tune it in, put it on your smart TV and grab a beer, grab a pop, whatever, and just enjoy it. So appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.